We're driving a 2024 Mazda CX-90. It's a 3-row family SUV, midsize. Coming up, we're going to explain why this CX-90 is way better than the last CX-90 we drove. Let's begin with interior.
This is a really lively interior, almost classy.
Classy?
The part that turns it from classy with a C to classy with a K is this material right here. I personally don't care for it.
They're using some negative space and some traditional Japanese stitching techniques here. This is a very distinct element, and I wouldn't have thought that it would be off-putting or polarizing, but apparently it is.
It just reminds me of pants I used to buy at the thrift store in the 90s that were made out of polyester.
Overall, though, I think there really is an interesting aesthetic here. In terms of seat comfort, the front seats lack any pressure points. I'm feeling supported laterally.
They are on the firm side, but very comfortable.
Naturally, we're driving a very fancy trim, so we've got the Napa leather, which makes everything a little bit more luxe. One oddity I noted with the seats, though, there's this center trim piece, and when I got in, I'm like, oh man, look, it's all worn down from being used by journalists. I'm like, wait, no, I think that's intentional.
Kind of like faux worn jeans. One thing I really like about the interior is that there isn't shiny black plastic in here.
Well chosen, Mazda. Oh, last thought before we leave the front seats here, I like the fact that they have physical buttons for critical controls like the seat heater and cooler and the HVAC.
I like that too.
Oh, let's have a moment over physical controls. Aww. You've got sliding and reclining second row seats, more than adequate space for an average dude like me, 5'10", long torso. Thank you for the snake sound, sweetie. I promise that doesn't offend me. I just saw an influencer back there getting her photo taken in the snow while wearing a bikini. Very funny.
Wow.
Strangely, the third row is offered with either 3 or 2 seats. I don't know any other manufacturer that does that kind of approach.
The second row is also offered in 3 or 2 seats, which I really like because if you use the third row often, having those second row captain's chairs makes it much easier to climb between and access the third row.
Unless you have this trim where you have a console in the middle there, so you cannot traverse from the second to the third row. Though it does make it a little bit nicer to have that inboard armrest and a little bit of storage space to store your special friends who join you when you're on a drive like this. What's your special friend's name, kiddo?
LOL.
The kind of thing you might say if you saw somebody taking bikini pictures in the snow. Let me ask you, kiddo, how do you like getting in and out of this vehicle?
Pretty easy because it's like nice and long, and the seat slides forward nice and far.
It's easy access to the third row once it's slid forward. Other mid-size 3-row SUVs I'm thinking about, like the Honda Pilot or maybe the Kia Telluride, have a single push-button release that allows a child to slide the second row out of the way and get in themselves. In this, you better have an adult if you're going to pull that top lever. Now, once back in the third row, kiddo, did you find it roomy enough for your needs?
It's fine, but
Not the biggest you've experienced?
yeah.
Third row space in the Mazda CX-90 is not best in class, but it's certainly acceptable for child-sized humans. My head barely brushes against the headliner when I'm seated in the back there. Knee space is tight. Where my feet go, squozed in their kind of little nook. I said that weirdly. It should also be noted that if you get the version that has 3 seats in the third row, that's going to be very tight laterally. Behind the third row, we have about 16 cubic feet of space, not best in class, but plentiful.
The third row seats are so easy to fold down and fold up from the cargo area.
I do wish there were second row releases in the cargo area that might make it a little bit easier to load up, but still a very functional area. Sweetie, what about getting the booster seat installed?
The booster seat is easy to install. There are little plastic pieces covering the latch points that are easy to snap out of the way. Also, there is definitely enough room for a rear-facing car seat back there.
And I'll bet installing it would be no problem because those second row doors open very wide. As for safety, we've got a full suite of active assist, lane keeping assist, automatic emergency braking. There's an exit alert to let you know if cars or bikes are approaching, 8 airbags, and full speed adaptive cruise control is also included. From a crash test perspective, the NHTSA has not rated the CX-90, but the IIHS have named it a top safety pick plus. Family, what do we think? Is the Mazda CX-9 family friendly?
Family friendly.
Rear window test. Well, not quite all the way down. Armrest test. Easy access to the inboard and outboard perches. Harder on the inboard than it is on the outboard. I'm gonna go 90% outboard, 75% inboard. Hey, Would you like to see more videos like this, where we review cars as a family, plus the occasional helicopter adventure? If so, you are welcome to subscribe, and if you'd like early access to our videos, feel free to join our channel. Onward to style! It's been a few months since we last drove a CX-90. How are we feeling about the style now?
I like it a lot better in a lighter color.
Really? You know this is artisan red, sweetie pie. Round here, we make red colors a little bit different.
Well, the dark red color, I think, doesn't show off the lines as well. And since this is a little bit more restrained than Mazda designs of the past, I think it benefits from being able to see the lines better.
I think that is a very astute encapsulation of the color challenge. That said, I still really like the red. And I also think that with simpler design flourishes, it really is the kind of vehicle that's more about proportions. That long hood suggesting the powerful inline six-cylinder under there. It kind of has a gravitas that previous Mazda SUVs didn't really have. Overall, we like the look of the Mazda CX-90, but how do you feel? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Tell us in the comments. Let's head forward to In Motion. In the beginning of the video, we teased that there is a way that this CX-90 is way better than the last one we drove. How so? This one is the inline six-cylinder version. The last one we drove was the plug-in hybrid rendition. It combines an electric motor with a battery and a four-cylinder engine. At full acceleration, it was quick, but the way it delivered that power was very unrefined. It's like the electric parts and the gasoline parts weren't really communicating. Oh, and in pure EV mode, it's comically slow. By contrast, the 3.3-liter turbocharged inline six-cylinder that we have here is much better. So we've got effortless pull. Whee! I also really like the smoothness of it. There is an inherent smoothness to an inline six-cylinder engine. How smooth? Let's see if I can bounce my flying eye sunglasses on the engine and then start it. Steady. Wow. That kind of smoothness only comes from an inherently sound engineering solution. Similarly, flying eye sunglasses feature patented Resilimide construction, making them inherently lightweight, bendable, and incredibly durable. If you'd appreciate exceptionally well-engineered eyewear, click the link in the description below. Use the promo code Micah to save 10% on flying eyes. If only for the smoothness, an inline six-cylinder engine is awesome. Now, the way that this one is set up, it's paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission that lacks a torque converter, but torque converters have a torque multiplication quality that helps with off-the-line acceleration. Without that, that might make it for a little laggy start, except we've got a 48-volt mild hybrid system that helps fill in that bottom of the end torque gap. So when you leave from a stop, it just feels like you're driving a normal SUV, but the technology is different. And the way it's kind of cool is that with that wet clutch, it's a little bit more like driving a manual or a dual clutch transmission, just in terms of that immediacy. Let's test something. I'm going to floor it right now. I'll be honest, I wish that was a little snappier downshift, but at least it knew what it was doing. Like a little bump here, let's see. Okay, big bumps are absorbed just fine, but I feel like those sharp impacts should be a little bit more dull. Now, I wouldn't mind feeling this much of the road if the way the vehicle steered aligned with maybe a sporty demeanor, but it doesn't. We've got a very slow steering ratio. To me, the steering feels a little bit heavy, even in normal mode. And the way the CX-90 corners is capable and confident, but not playful.
We'll have to bring the fun.
Okay, what do you got? Dazzle me, family. Wow.
Are you dazzled?
You know, there are times where you wish the vehicle was more fun. In total, we have a stable, predictable handling vehicle. I just wish this part was a little more exciting. That's what I think, but what does Sweetie think? Last time we drove this, you had some shifter confusion. How has it been this time?
It's very clear and obvious how it works, but it is possible to thoughtlessly put it into reverse when you're trying to park instead of park. So I'm in drive, I pull into a parking spot, I put it into park, and then I put my hand off.
And then we start creeping. That's normal muscle memory from years of using a standard Perndl style shifter. The bigger concern is that you might do that and then open your door. Open your door and see if this thing will go backwards. Shift into park before exiting. Wow, but it did roll back. It's a very logical system that is going against a lot of muscle memory for a lot of people.
Now it's in park.
Yay! All right, throw it in drive, and why don't you floor it from the stop and see how it feels? How'd that feel?
Ooh.
Well,
That
now,
felt... What happened there?
there was a little clunk there going in the 1-2 shift. I would have liked the automatic transmission to be a little smoother there, but from your perspective, off the line acceleration, did it feel ample?
Yes, I feel like this would get me out in front of traffic around blind corners well.
Last time we drove this, you thought that the steering felt fine. I actually thought it felt a little heavy, which feels odd just based on, muscle mass and arms. How are you finding it now?
Maybe I'm just insecure about people seeing me as weak, but I find it fine. I've got this.
Oh, good. Now, what happens if I put you over into sport mode?
Oh, no!
Are you
Just
handling it?
kidding.
Is it okay? Can you do it?
I can do it, dude.
Okay.
Actually, can you put it back into normal?
Why?
Not about the steering being too heavy. I've got this. Driving this around, I did not find it fun, but for me, being reassuring, predictable, those are all the qualities I am usually looking for in a vehicle, so I enjoyed driving this around, even though it wasn't like fun.
So the CX-90 offers good emotional alignment for your sensibilities.
Yes.
Last time we drove this, you said you were shocked to find a third row back there. It drove smaller than it actually is.
When I went down a narrow road, I was like, oh yeah, this is a big vehicle. But the way it drives, I kind of tend to forget that.
A well-designed car can make you feel things that differ from reality. Last question, how do you find visibility?
Visibility is good all around.
If you were in the market for a mid-size 3-row SUV, would you feel comfortable driving a Mazda CX-90?
Absolutely.
That's pretty strong praise from Sweetie. I'm getting back in the driver's seat. In total, the Mazda CX-90 does a lot of things really well. It does its job even better when you get it with the inline 6-cylinder engine. Onward to remarks. Let's start with the critique.
When you first start up the vehicle, if you don't have your seatbelt buckled, it immediately starts chiming at you.
Chill out, CX-90, I'll get my belt on. Onward to infotainment, we have a 10.25-inch display. It's standard. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto both come standard as wireless.
The native infotainment interface is utilized with these controls, and normally I find this kind of setup difficult to use, but the interface is so simple that it's really easy to access everything. When you switch over to Apple CarPlay, it becomes a touchscreen interface, or you can use this if that's your preferred way to interact with your vehicle.
Those of you who have left comments saying, the knob is the superior option. Great, use it. You can use it, but every once in a while, you got an icon that's like over on the right side and you don't want to scroll all the way to get over there and push. Hey, there it is. The version we're testing has the optional 360-degree camera system with a see-through function that never worked. Dove into the infotainment settings. It is indeed active. Do you know why it doesn't work? Tell us in the comments. Our tester is about $60,000 worth of Mazda CX-90, and I think it's pretty glaring the lack of rear door releases for the keyless access on Mazda. Give me the little sensors on the back doors there.
Yeah, Mazda.
And now it's our daughter's time to shine. Kiddo, can you tell us your favorite feature?
My favorite feature is the material on the dash.
You like the dash material. I think we've got a critical mass of Muzios that we collectively all agree it's wonderful.
I like the texture and the look of it.
Oh yeah, and that was Kiddo's favorite feature. All right, let's talk engine choices. The standard engine is a 3.3-liter inline 6-cylinder turbocharged engine. Then there's also a more powerful version like we have here in our tester. They call it the Turbo S. It's available in higher trims, and fuel economy is barely worse despite a big jump in power. Then there's the 2.5-liter 4-cylinder plug-in hybrid that we experienced previously. 26 miles of EV range, 25 mpg combined fuel economy using gasoline alone. Regardless of engine, all-wheel drive comes standard, and if you want the most power, you better use premium fuel. Oh, and if you want to tow, the inline 6-cylinder maxes out at 5,000 pounds, while the plug-in hybrid can tow up to 3,500 pounds. Sweetie, may I share our trim recommendation?
Please do.
Our trim recommendation is which trim will give you the essential features you would regret not getting in a Mazda CX-90, but at the lowest possible price. For our trim recommendation, we recommend the base Select trim. It's got that 10.25-inch infotainment screen, 3-zone automatic climate control, all-wheel drive, and keyless access. All the essentials plus the inline 6-cylinder engine I love so much. And if you're ready to buy a CX-90 of your very own, click the Kelley Blue Book pricing link in the description below to see how much you should spend on a CX-90 and how much your current car might be worth. As for competitors, some premium options that hit similar notes to the CX-90 are the Acura MDX and the Genesis GV80, but they're both more expensive. Three-row SUVs that are more in line with the CX-90's price include the Kia Telluride, Honda Pilot, or Hyundai Palisade. Did we miss any remarks? If so, tell us in the comment section. Synopsis! In thinking about the essence of the Mazda CX-90, it is a good choice, but you gotta be sure you get the right one, the one with the 6-cylinder. To us, it is the in-and-out cheeseburger animal style of mid-size three-row SUVs. Family, I think we've done a good job reviewing the Mazda CX-90. May I have a 5 and a 5, and you can get your high five.